Yeah, guys, really sorry. There's problems with the internet. Yeah, so is the audio fine? Just let me know if the audio is fine. Yeah, uh, writing the link. Okay, so we have a suggestion. Queen B6. Okay, anything else? Okay, so everyone says Queen B6. Yeah, Queen B6 is a perfectly reasonable move. Yeah, Queen B6 is totally fine. You could just you're attacking the pawn on B2. Also, Queen D2, Rook D1 probably, and knight E4 at some point. Yeah, this should be fine for black. Yeah, Queen B6 is a good move, but in this game, black chose a different approach. So uh, yeah, but in this particular game, black chose a different approach. He didn't go Queen B6. So one of the main ideas for the side who is playing against the IQP is to exchange as many pieces as possible, because once you get into the end game, it becomes that much easier to attack the weak pawn. So black just follows that principle and comes up with the move knight to h5. Okay, queen b6 was one of the options, but not played in the game. Okay, so one more suggestion we have is knight to d5. Knight to d5 is also perfectly fine, I think. So, yeah, you probably take here and maybe something like this. Yeah, should be quite fine for black. Yeah, knight to d5 is also one more option. Or white could also consider taking on d5. If you take on h4, there is probably just this. Yeah, this should be fine for black. But here in the game, black chose a different approach. Yeah, knight d5. That's correct. Knight d5 also blockades the pawn pawn on d4. That's correct. So there are quite a few different approaches of playing this position. But in the game, black chose knight to h5. Maybe he was just knight d5. Maybe he was probably worried about something like this. And you can push the pawn next. If bishop, I can probably push the pawn. And if you take, I have this. Uh, yeah. So maybe he was worried about something like this, and now I can just play bishop h7 and capture the queen. So this is why I didn't go for this. Maybe this is what he was worried. This is what he was worried about with knight to d5. I mean, sorry, this didn't actually happen in the game. This is one of the variations. I'm sorry. So if bishop h4, black can just go knight h5, and if you go to g3, I just take the bishop. Or here I just take and I can come with to f4 with the knight. Yeah, so is the audio still fine? Okay. Yeah. So this is what happens if bishop to h4. But in the game, white made a huge mistake. Instead of going bishop to h4, he went bishop to e3. Yeah. So after the game, Botvinnik claimed that this was because he had some nervous damage or something. Because this move is really strange and hard to explain. Since the main idea for black in isolated queen's pawn position, for white I mean, is to attack on the king side and put some pressure on black. But this move doesn't really put any sort of pressure, it's a very defensive move. All it does is defend the pawn on d4. And the bishop is not placed very well on e3. So let's see how black exploits this. So now black just follows up with his plan with knight to b4. As you can observe now, the kingside attacking chances for black are very low here. Because the pieces are not very well placed, and the knight always defends h7. Yeah. He has to preserve the bishop pair, or else there's nothing for black. For white, I mean. Yeah, knight b to d5 is also a very good option here. He instead decides to develop the bishop on the square, and then go to d5. So I just plays b5 first, knight to e5. So the threat is obviously he just wants to kick the knight and come to c6. But this is very easy for black to prevent. Just bishop b7, covering the c6 square. And also the bishop is extremely well placed on this long diagonal. Now white doesn't really have much of a choice here. All he can hope for is somehow develop his pieces and defend the d4 square and maybe try for some activity on the queen side. Yeah. So rook e8 is actually a very good move in this position because you're not giving white any chance at all. So, for example, like here, white might have had this option of sacrificing on h6 and just queen h6, and this is kind of dangerous here because you also have some ideas of taking and bringing the rook to c3 and g3, for example. So this could be quite dangerous. So rook e8 just completely prevents this because now bishop h6 doesn't work. You just take and bishop to f8, and there's nothing for white here. You're just going to exchange the queens next move. So this doesn't work. Now white tries the only other option which he has of trying to make something on the king side with pawn to f4 and f5. Yeah, but as you can notice, the squares are very weak for white now. The e4 square is very weak. It's a permanent outpost for black. The d5 square is extremely weak. The black bishop is extremely strong. The knight is going to come to d5. This knight could maybe at some point go to e4. And this is a perfect isolated queen's pawn position for black. Okay, so is it lagging a little? One sec, let me just create one more, I guess.